The storm that night didn't sound like rain. It sounded like Fairview finally cracking open. Thunder rolled across the sky as Derrick stood in the storage unit, breathing hard. Detective Carter had his gun raised, flashlights slicing through the darkness. Outside, the black SUV idled, headlights burning through the sheets of rain. And then the driver's door opened. "Stay behind me," Carter whispered. 3 figures stepped out of the SUV, rain bouncing off their hoods. Their boots splashed through the puddles in rhythm, military precision. One of them called out, "Detective Carter, Mr. Parker, step outside." Carter's jaw clenched. That's Chief Hale's voice. Derrick's heart stopped. The chief? He nodded. The same man who buried his own brother. The chief stepped forward into the light, rain streaking across his face. He looked calm, too calm. "You shouldn't have come this far," he said. "You don't understand the kind of people you're up against." Carter kept his gun steady. "Funny, I thought that's what justice was for." The chief smirked. "Justice? You think this place runs on justice? Fairview runs on control. And control means knowing who belongs here and who doesn't." He glanced at Derrick. "And you, Mr. Parker, you never did." Derrick took a step forward. "You killed your brother because he tried to tell the truth." The chief's smile faltered. He was weak. He thought the world would change if he talked. But this country doesn't change. It just forgets. He motioned to the men beside him. "Take them in." Carter fired first, one shot, shattering the floodlight. Darkness swallowed the yard. Derrick grabbed his arm. "This way." They sprinted through the side alley, rain hammering the metal roofs. The sound of boots pounded behind them. Carter ducked behind a dumpster, panting. "We can't outrun them forever." Derrick pointed back toward the storage unit. "Those files, if we lose them, everything's gone." He hesitated. "You're thinking of going back?" "Not going back," Derrick said, eyes hard, burning it all down. They circled around the lot and found an old propane tank by the fence. Derrick yanked a flare from Carter's utility bag. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. He nodded. "If Fairview wants to bury the truth, we'll dig it up with fire." He lit the flare and hurled it through the broken window. Within seconds, flames roared to life, licking up the boxes, the files, the years of corruption. Chief Hale shouted from across the lot, "You'll regret this." But Derrick didn't flinch. "No, Chief, you will." The heat surged. The files popped and curled. And for the first time, Fairview's lies started to burn. The next morning, the sky over Fairview was gray and quiet. Smoke still hung low over the east end of town. Carter and Derrick sat in his garage, laptops open. The fire destroyed most of the evidence, but not before Carter's body cam uploaded its footage to cloud. He clicked play. The recording showed the confrontation. Chief Hale's confession, Eleanor Briggs' threats, and the moment they found Officer Hale's body. "This is enough to go public," Derrick said. Carter nodded. "I already sent it to every journalist I know. It'll go live in an hour." Derrick leaned back, exhausted. "You think they'll come for us?" "They already have," he said quietly. "But they're too late." His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Broadcast blocked. Media offline. You're next." Carter's face went pale. "They're still in control." Derrick looked at his, determination settling in his eyes. "Then we take it offline." That evening, Fairview held an emergency meeting at the town hall. The HOA board was there. Chief Hale was there. Half the neighborhood showed up, whispering rumors. Derrick walked in wearing a black coat, his phone recording. Carter followed, a flash drive hidden in his sleeve. Eleanor Briggs stood at the podium. "These baseless accusations," she said, "are attempts to destabilize the harmony of our community." Carter's voice cut through the crowd. "Harmony? You mean burying evidence and murdering anyone who speaks up?" Gasps rippled through the hall. Eleanor straightened. "Detective Carter, you are out of line." Derrick stepped forward. "Out of line is what you did to this neighborhood." He pulled out his phone and connected it to projector. The screen lit up with the footage. Chief Hale's voice echoing through the hall. "Fairview runs on control, and control means knowing who belongs here. The room exploded in shouts. Eleanor's face drained of color. "Turn it off," she screamed. But Derrick didn't stop. The recording continued, Eleanor admitting to zoning fraud, the cover-up, and Hale's involvement. By the time the video ended, silence fell. Chief Hale stood up, eyes wild. "You don't understand." Carter raised his badge. "Robert Hale, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and murder." The officers hesitated, then cuffed him. Eleanor Briggs tried to slip out the side door, but the crowd turned. Neighbors, the same one she called undesirable, blocked her path. For the first time, she looked small, powerless. 3 days later, national news picked up the story. HOA corruption scandal in Fairview leads to arrest of police chief and local officials. Comment sections flooded with outrage. Talk shows debated racial bias in housing laws. The DOJ announced a full investigation. But for Derrick, justice didn't feel like victory. It felt like exhaustion. He stood outside his house, the same porch where everything started. His daughter, Layla, ran into his arms. "Daddy, are the bad people gone?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Some of them." She looked up. "You're a hero, right?" He knelt down, eyes soft. "No, baby. Heroes don't burn things down. They rebuild them." Carter walked up behind him. "You should know, Eleanor took a plea deal. She's giving up everything. And the chief, he's talking." Derrick nodded. "Good. Let him choke on the truth for once." Carter looked out the quiet streets. "You know, this isn't just about one neighborhood. There are Fairviews everywhere." Derrick exhaled. "Then maybe we start with this one." 2 weeks later, Derrick was packing up boxes in his office when he found something taped under his desk, a small, dust-covered envelope. He opened it. Inside was a photograph. It showed Eleanor Briggs shaking hands with a man in a gray suit. On the back was written, "The project isn't over." Derrick turned the photo over. The man's face was half hidden, but familiar. Carter walked in. "What's that?" He handed it to her. He squinted, then froze. "That's Senator Langford." Derrick frowned. "The state senator? The one leading the housing reform bill?" Carter nodded slowly. "If he's connected, this goes higher than we thought." Derrick stared at the photo, the weight of it sinking in. "We exposed Fairview," he said. "But maybe Fairview was just the start." That night, Carter didn't make it home. His car was found on the side of the freeway. Door open, engine still running. His phone lay on the passenger seat, cracked, screen black. No sign of his. The news didn't mention it. The department called it a temporary leave. Derrick knew better. He played the last voicemail he sent him. "Derrick, if anything happens to me, don't stop. They'll make it look like an accident, but you have to keep digging. It's bigger than Fairview. Follow the money. Always follow the money." His voice cut off mid-sentence. Derrick sat in the dark, the sound of rain hitting the window, the same rhythm from the night it all began. 6 months passed. Fairview had changed. The HOA was disbanded. New families moved in. The town looked brighter, cleaner. But Derrick couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching. One evening, as he walked his mailbox, he noticed a new flyer tucked between the letters. Community Restoration Meeting, hosted by the Fairview Renewal Committee. At the bottom was a familiar logo, an oak tree encircled by gold, the same symbol from Eleanor's files. Derrick whispered, "No, not again." He went home and pulled out the old USB drive, the one they recovered from Eleanor's office. There was one folder he'd never opened. Inside was a document titled Phase 2. It listed towns across the country: Brookdale, OH Milton Park, GA Lakewood, TX Fairview, California, complete. Next to each, population realignment status, in progress. Derrick leaned back, realization hitting him like a wave. Fairview wasn't a mistake. It was a model, and they were expanding. Derrick uploaded everything, every file, every recording, every photo, to a secure server. Then he posted one video on his personal page. The title read, "The Fairview Files, What They Don't Want You to Know." His face appeared on screen, tired but steady. "My name is Derrick Parker, He began, "For months, I've lived in a neighborhood that called itself perfect. But perfection has a price, and sometimes that price is people." He paused, eyes locking with the camera. "Fairview taught me that corruption doesn't wear a mask. It smiles at you, waves from across the street, and calls the cops when you don't fit the picture." He exhaled slowly. "This story isn't about me. It's about truth and the people who bury it." He looked down. "If you're watching this, it means I've uploaded the files. And if something happens to me, keep them alive." He ended the video and hit upload. Within hours, it went viral. Hashtag spread across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Hashtag Fairview Files, hashtag Justice for Carter, hashtag HOA Conspiracy. Fairview was no longer just a town. It was a warning. Days later, a letter arrived at Derrick's doorstep. No name, no address. Inside, a single sheet of paper. "You did good, Derrick. But remember, truth doesn't end, it echoes. See you soon." He looked up, scanning the quiet street. No one there, just the wind. He folded the note, tucked it into his jacket, and smiled faintly, because for the first time, he wasn't afraid. He walked to his car, started the engine, and drove away from Fairview, the town that tried to bury him. As he disappeared down the road, the camera panned up, showing the neighborhood from above, peaceful and pristine. But under one freshly planted oak tree, a glint of metal caught the light. A badge, number 247. Sometimes justice doesn't come from the courtroom. Sometimes it comes from people who refuse to stay quiet. Fairview fell, not because of the truth, but because of the silence that tried to hide it. Because silence is the loudest crime of all.